Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to post-episode issues. Better Call Saul, Season 1, Episode 3, Nacho. Nacho She. No, Nacho. Better watch out for Nacho. Oh my gosh, Joe. I am so excited about this Better Call Saul. This was another awesome episode. These episodes keep getting better and better. I keep getting enthralled into this universe. Oh my goodness me. But if this is your first time checking us out, we do post-episode recaps after some of our favorite television shows. We come out here and give you guys our immediate thoughts of what we thought of the episode. And if this is your first time here, please hit the subscribe button. We'd also love to hear what you thought of this episode of Better Call Saul, either if you're watching live in the chat or if you're listening to this sometime over the week or sometime way in the future. Please use the comment section. You can also email me at igotissuesman@gmail.com. Tweet me at igotissuesman. Tweet Joe at @DirtyLocks. And check out a lot of shit we do at issuesprogram.com. But with me is Joe DirtyLocks. Joe, are you as excited about this Better Call Saul as I am?
Oh, I really am. Every episode, I'm getting more and more pulled in back into this universe. I love it.
Oh,
I love Odenkirk's performance too. I think he's doing a great job, much better than I thought he was going to be able to do. He's pulling it off, big time.
Absolutely, and one of the things that's really excited me about his performance is in this episode right from the beginning, and we'll sort of step into it because I want to talk about the start of this episode. And first, I'd like to thank a bunch of people who corrected me in the comments. Better Call Saul is 6 years before the time of Breaking Bad, 7 years before he meets Walter White, because there was a big chunk of time on Breaking Bad that Saul and Walter don't meet up. So I'd said 3 years before. I was incorrect. It's 6 years. And we start out with a flashback of a different age of Bob Odenkirk, and I think it's freaking amazing how many generations of Saul we've seen him play now. We saw the one at the beginning of the first episode, which was way in the future. Then we've seen Breaking Bad Saul Goodman, and now in the 4 it's actually. Then we've seen this one, Jimmy McGill, and then we've seen Slippery Jimmy now, which is 4. And he's playing them all like slightly different. You got to give Bob Odenkirk credit. He's doing amazing right off the bat of the show.
I really think he is, and I'm buying all the different time frames that they've put him in. I really loved seeing Lenny walk in with that head of hair.
Yeah, that was great too.
Dropping that late '90s cell phone into the prison, into the jail terminal. It was nice.
And like to welcome Ren Renwood. Welcome. Thanks for checking us out tonight. And she says, I've been thinking about the VCR tape in the first episode, and I bet we see him make that tape in the basement of the guy at Hoover Max Extract Pressure Pro Model 60. He swings old school. I hope that it's very, very true. And I actually did make note of that, too, that he was using a VCR tape. My first time watching the episode, I was like, oh, my gosh, he's actually using a VCR tape in that situation. Danny from LA, welcome, my friend. Welcome to the chat. God, what?
I gotta say, I find it kind of strange. Yeah, okay, he's got the VCR tape, but when he makes that tape, I find that kind of suspect that would be on a cassette tape. We're talking, 2004, 2005, really? That's going to be on a cassette tape?
Or because you can't. Still, at that point, I remember one of the things that people were saying at that period of time why DVDs weren't completely destroying VCR tapes, VHS tapes. It's been so long, I forget what to call them. Was because it wasn't readily available for people to hold stuff on like hard drives and stuff, and there weren't a lot of, and there still isn't. It isn't very common for people to make copies of to tape something off a television onto a DVD. So he probably taped them actually off of a TV screen. The best way to do that at that period of time was still with a VHS tape.
Okay, yep. Yeah, and for that matter, I think I donated my VCR to my work only like 5 years ago.
Were you at my house the night that the VCR wasn't working and I took a saw and I shoved it in the VCR like 6 or 7 times and then it suddenly worked? I love old school technology. You can totally do that.
Total Nintendo, man.
And
blow in it, slam it.
Ren adds, I love how it opens in all black and white with that spot of red of darkness that becomes Jimmy. I was going to mention that a lot tonight, and I'll mention it right off the bat. It's when you see these guys making when you see Vince Gilligan and his crew, I talked about this ad nauseum the last 2 times. I can't help but say it. They play with color, they play with light, they play with angles. There was so much of this in this episode, whether it's just looking at someone from a slight tilted angle to create depth of field, or so many times tonight in this episode with Jimmy, with Saul or Jimmy, being shot in different colors with different. There was one point when he was all in red, as Ren was mentioning. There's another point when he's on the phone, on the payphone, which I love how they're finding payphones in Albuquerque right now. I wonder if they had a smug.
Right? And that's almost a little. That's like just on the edge of them all disappearing.
But I just mean, let me be clear what I mean. Not that there in the time period of the show that they're around. I mean that the film crew has been able to get payphones. That must be the big expense to bring payphones back and make them look so natural and time specific.
It's just a prop. There's whole junkyards filled with thousands of them still. A little bit of WD-40, some sandpaper, you're all set.
Yeah, some spit shining, it'll be fine. But I just love the way that this episode plays with colors and plays with time already. And it's playing with time and showing you that it's not afraid to steer away from the main narrative, and it starts right off the bat again as we get another flashback type thing at the beginning of this episode. And I love how again it just comes right out and shows you that when we see Chuck going to a prison for the first time, a detention center to meet with a client who turns out to be Jimmy, turns out to be his brother. He's facing charges, and he mentioned something about a sex offender registry. So obviously there was something more than just the throwing himself in front of cars that we don't quite know. What was that, Joe?
Flashing himself, or he was naked. Something was going on. Definitely something was going on. You don't just get sex offender status. Maybe he was peeing in a bush. Who knows?
Holy shit. Brohawk Riley put a tweet out about Better Call Saul, and Skylar White favored us. I hope you're watching this, Skylar, and I hope you're safe. I hope you're not wrapped up in the danger that Walt put you through. So I hope you're safe somewhere with the kids. Staying far away from Cinnabons, from all Cinnabons. So allegedly he was having sex within the line of sight of someone's skylight, is what it was. And it's been 5 years since the brothers have seen each other. Could you turn me down just a tad, Joe? Since the brothers have seen each other, and Jimmy wants to talk strategy about how Chuck's going to get him out. And after pleading and begging, Chuck agrees to handle his case. But he's very clear about this at the beginning, very clear about he begs. And I love the balance of color and sound you have in the jail in the background. You hear all the wonderful, crazy jail atmosphere and the desperation of Jimmy begging him to help.
Oh, no, well, he's not, at first he's not begging him. He's trying to be nonchalant and casual about it, and Chuck knows exactly. Chuck's come all the way from where are they from? Philly, was it?
I forget where.
Oh no, Mike's from Philly. I forget where they're from, but he's come all the way from somewhere to come to Albuquerque to help him, to bail him out of this problem. So he's not from around there. Neither one of them are from around there originally. I forget where he said he was from in the episode where he's explaining it to the kids.
Ren says, I guess I don't have the imagination of what Chuck describes as being a sex crime. That said, I thought I was looking at a Hooters commercial and not Carl's Jr. So this continues, and they have a good back and forth, and I love how this is polar opposite of the period of times that we've seen Chuck so far. It really positions Chuck in a position of power here, and it's interesting because it's not something we've seen yet on the show. We haven't seen, and I know it's been a short time of 2 episodes, but it feels like so long. I already feel so invested in the show, and in the first couple episodes, Chuck's been very helpless, caught up by whatever's going on. And it's good to see him in top form. I also think it's interesting that the whole scene started with Chuck putting a lot of his cell phones and electronic. He's got the Zach Morris cell phone.
Oh yeah, and that's how you know he's a high-priced lawyer. Only rich people had those phones back then in the 90s, and drug dealers,
And it also connects back to like how he must feel now, and and probably somehow his mind connecting to starting to use all these things because this was the beginning of the end for him, or the start of Chuck's downfall. Who knows when his downfall started? But I just think it was interesting that they focused and had him dropping off his electronic goods, similar to the way that he makes Jimmy or anyone that visits his house do it before he goes in. They made it a point to focus on that right at the beginning of the episode. I thought that was interesting. And
Well, I thought they were using that. I thought they were more using. I guess I didn't even see that correlation, but I thought they were using that more as you see all the you see that phone go in the bin, and the bin itself. You know what time we're in exactly at that moment. We're not in the current story time of 2000.
Yeah.
We're back in the 90s. It was a look flashback.
I think we're both right, but I agree they wanted to do the Zach Morris moment. I think Vince Gilligan was probably a fan of Saved by the Bell, and he's like, that phone, we should give Saul Goodman that. That's the type of thing Saul Goodman's brother would have, or he's totally like that.
Absolutely.
Chick Baby says, I didn't know Saul was such a loser back in the day. And I agree. It's interesting to watch Saul learn to crawl. And I think in every one of these episodes, we've seen him stumble his way to becoming Saul Goodman. It's very interesting to watch and very interesting to see the moments where he hits, moments when it's just kind of dumb luck and using energy to figure things out. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like it. And Ren says, ironic that Chuck's last words to Jimmy was not to make him look like a fool. And
right. After Jimmy finally talks him into helping, or rather Chuck talks Jimmy into admitting that and breaking down into crying by threatening to walk out. It's like, oh, you weren't crying to Mom on the phone? And after he gets in with that, he's about to walk out because Jimmy won't admit it. He says, if I do this, you better not make me look like a fool. You got to end all your relationships with everybody. You're out of anything you were into. It's time to change your life. Don't make me look like a fool. And yeah, it's a good point that he's pointing that out. And it's not to say that mental illness makes someone a fool.
No, absolutely not. I just think it
shows their relationship a little bit, that Jimmy's the consummate fuck up.
And it also shows the reason why Jimmy, at least at the beginning, we're setting up that he cares so much of when Chuck's going through a difficult time, that he wants to take care of Chuck, because he knows Chuck went on the line for him when he really needed him as well. So right now, when he needs a friend, or he feels like he needs a friend, I think Jimmy might be overcompensating a little bit and trying too hard with his relationship now with Chuck. And but it's a very interesting dynamic to watch the balance between the two brothers. I really dig it a lot.
Yeah.
And again, excellent casting by Michael McKean. It's his only appearance in this episode. We don't see him in current time Chuck at any point. We only see Charles or whatever. But it's pretty cool. It was a pretty fun scene. So after that, we go to the spa closing for the night, and Jimmy takes another look at Nacho's number, and he picks up the phone, but he doesn't call Nacho. You think he's going to call Nacho.
But yeah, we were supposed to think he's definitely calling Nacho, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking he's calling Nacho there, and he's kind of in all the dark and the shade colors at that point. And he calls Kim, the girl we've met in a couple of episodes, and we've gotten the feeling that they have some sort of relationship. And do you think that's connected to is she the girl he hooked up with in the public place that Chuck had to get him bailed out of? Is she at all connected to Jimmy?
I'm thinking seeing as how the way they're talking to each other and stuff like that, and she's saying, oh, you weren't calling to talk dirty to me, and he's kind of dancing around why he's calling. I do think that it's probably with her. We haven't seen any other romantic interludes or anything like that. It's a good possibility that that's her. There's definitely a history between them.
Exactly, and it's very TV to make it in that situation, to have it be her, and it
right.
also
it's
a TV trope. It's a TV trope to have things like that happen, and especially in this situation where she's worked for Chuck's company for so long, so it makes sense that maybe Jimmy fucked up with someone that was an up-and-coming member of the company, and that's why the company kind of looks at Jimmy like, oh, you fuck up. You did something lewd with some. Who knows? I mean, we'll learn about that more as time goes on. I bet. And this is also the scene where Saul's pretty much in red light the whole time, focused in red light, and it's pretty interesting. And he's also drunk, and he slips up in this scene when he's talking to her that the Kettlemans might be in danger, that someone might be after them, which is really a big fuck up here. This is one of those big Jimmy fuck ups that Saul.
Well, he starts the car. He's like, tell me, did they do it? Did they take the money? How much did they get? $1 million, $1.5 million? And she's like, I can't tell you any of that. They're innocent. And even if I did know, why would I tell you? And then he goes into, well, they're probably in danger then.
Yeah, danger. It's stranger danger. Renwood says, I keep remembering when Jimmy yelled the word atonement in the boardroom, and there's no wasted lines in this. Even if some of the lines aren't for the reason we're going to know why. There was a reason why they chose that word, why he said atonement. Atoning for some sins that they caused in the past. And I don't think they're just talking about...
was this when he barged in? Was that part of the movie, the quote from the movie he was talking about?
It could have been.
He rambled off, he came in and he rambled off a quote from some lawyer movie or... boardroom movie or something like that, and then he said something else about it on the way out of the room. Really, people? None of you watch movies?
Even still, there's probably certain reasons why they pick the quotes. And
of course there is. There's got to be, and it'll all unfold in time if they decide to let us in on the joke.
And I think they will. I think that's one of the things that just as a bigger issue with Breaking Bad and how they decide to close it out. I think if you compare Breaking Bad to a lot of other television shows that in the same ilk, great shows like that, Breaking Bad stuck the landing better than most of them. So they did answer most of the questions that we wanted to know. It's almost like the stuff that we're getting extra in Better Call Saul is just icing on the cake. Breaking Bad definitely tied all the knots pretty well. Yeah, do we necessarily know what happened with Jesse at the end? Not exactly, but we know enough.
Yeah. Well, one of the people I was talking to about last week's episode, one of those things that, ties in, it will all tie in, it will all come together, about last episode. For anybody, this is a little bit of a spoiler for people who haven't seen Breaking Bad, but the guy that interrupts them in the desert, so Tuco deals with that guy at a different point in time in Breaking Bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't catch that. And I think that's absolutely, that's the little things that are brilliant, that maybe him yelling atonement might even have something to do with Breaking Bad that none of us realize at the moment. But who knows?
Yeah, but it was also pointed. Yeah, it was also.
Oh, yeah.
What was that?
No, go.
Oh, but it was also pointed word to call him Darth Vader, the guy, whatever his name, the other member of the company, and it's true. It was very interesting they decided to focus on calling him Darth Vader. And it's very interesting, too. He tries to alert Kim that someone's onto Craig and Betsy Kellerman by telling them someone's after them, and he goes, forget about it, and then hangs up the phone. He doesn't want to talk about it that much. It's really cool and really fun music and really a fun setup, the interaction between the two of them. I like their
He's torn, too, because, like you say, he hangs up the phone, and he starts thinking, oh, shit, I'm not a hero, am I? No, I'm not a hero. And then he makes another, and then he's like, yeah, I guess I am doing the right thing. He just doesn't want to, he can't really come out and tell the lawyer anything without getting himself in trouble or getting that guy arrested and caught up and questioned or something, and that's bad news for him too. So he's in a lose-lose situation, because if something does happen to them and it ever comes out that he knew that something was going to happen too, he's screwed.
From what we know of Saul Goodman, do you think the struggle that's going on inside his mind is to go down the dark side, to use Darth Vader, or do you think it's a struggle of a conscience of good?
I think it's a struggle of a conscience of good. Otherwise, the call would have been to Tuco. To Nacho. I don't think he was. I think he's was legitimately worried for like he said to Nacho, he says, I wasn't trying to really scam them. I was trying to get their business. I thought that I would be able to get them off and charge them $50,000 for it, and they would pay me out of the $1.6 million that they got.
I think the only reason he's doing it though is because of Chuck. I think Chuck is and I think that's why it's important we saw the thing with Chuck at the beginning. Chuck is his conscience.
Well,
His,
no, I also think, well, okay, yeah, for why he's making the call, yeah. He's on a different path. He's not trying to do that. This is definitely someone who skirted the line, who knows both sides, who knows both worlds. He knows the dark side of people and the good side of people, and he's, going to use his powers for good as a defense attorney.
Yeah, hence what Chick Baby said before. He is a loser. No, didn't know Saul Goodman used to be a loser. No, if Saul would tell the Kedemans, give them $1 million and keep 6, I wouldn't call the cops. How about they can't tell the? I gotta reread that message in a second.
He said, "Give me $1 million, you keep 600,000, and we won't tell the cops about this."
I have a feeling we might see that next week. Not spoiling anything from the previews. I have a feeling that might be happening soon.
Well, here's the thing. They made it a point. He's been using all these payphones and everything, and they made it a point to show that he had his cell phone with him. So really, all it takes is a phone call. This is what you do. You call the law firm right now and tell them that they're all fired, and I am your new lawyer.
Do you think he's going to go that route?
That's the best route to go. Then you can bill them. Or is he like bound by the bar or whatever to now he knows that they embezzled the money and he can't defend them because he knows they're guilty.
I think
he knows they've committed this crime.
I think because of that reason, this is going to be the moment where Jimmy breaks bad. I think he's going to decide to just take the money and fuck it.
We got some Jimmy going on.
Jimmy. So yeah, unable to sleep, Jimmy unspools an entire roll of paper towels. He drives to a payphone, and he uses the tube as a voice muffler. This scene is hilarious. Odenkirk... Bryan Cranston could do this as well within this universe because they both are comedic actors. Cranston has that base in comedy, so a lot of the humor that came out of the crazy moments that Walter White driving the wind.
Odenkirk's going to be able to do a lot of that stuff himself.
A lot of that stuff, exactly.
And because he looks so straight man as well, especially in those bad cheap suits they fucking set him up in, I think he's doing such a great job. I did not think he was going to be able to keep my attention for an hour on screen. Pretty much every scene is with Odenkirk at this point in the series, and it has to be. And he's doing it. And I did not think I would have been the first one to say, I really want to see this, but I don't think it's going to be that good. And this is an amazing show, and he's pulling it off. He's anchoring this thing big time. And, of course, all that production stuff coming from the Breaking Bad team is gold.
I would watch a whole show of just Bob Odenkirk talking on the phone with phone gags. The stuff with him with the phone tonight is the most hilarious shit I've ever seen on television anywhere.
No, I love it. I didn't think he was going to be able to do it, and he does it, and I'm so glad that they're making the show and they gave him this chance.
When ex-girlfriend calls Nacho like 75,000 times.
He drunk dials him. He essentially drunk dials him.
Big Kev wants to say, I just want to say Saul's hairline is great. Yeah, it is. And that's one of those things, too, we were talking about at the beginning, where he's playing all these different age groups of Saul Goodman, and the hair's changing. And if you see Bob Odenkirk for real, he's having to wear a lot of different kinds of hair pieces because he doesn't have that much hair.
He's spending a lot of time in the makeup chair. He's doing a fantastic job. He really is. This show is great, and he's really anchoring it down really well.
And you just get the feeling, like, I don't know him, I don't know anybody personally, but it's almost like if Phil Hartman hadn't passed and got an opportunity like this in a show like this, it's just you feel really good for a guy like Bob Odenkirk because we talked about this a lot. He's always been a second, an auxiliary player and stuff. To see him really get an opportunity to flex his wheels and show everything he has, his comedy and his drama talents, it's really an awesome opportunity. He lucked into this. Not lucked in because he has talent, but I mean he lucked into being on the show and them deciding to spin off the show with him and everything. And It couldn't have, at least for the first 3 episodes, it couldn't have worked out better. And
Yeah,
this,
well, you got to give credit. You got to give credit to just the team in general for knowing they had gold in the Breaking Bad universe and pushing for, and almost like not just pushing for it, but like examining the body of work in itself and trying to figure out exactly where they can make the spinoff, and knowing that it was going to be gold with Saul.
I,
You know,
I wonder how it went because they joked about it at first, and I wonder how much of it was a joke that turned into a reality. Like, you know what?
right?
To really do that, and that could be really cool. This would be a good way to expand the universe through a. We can make it a little,
People love lawyer shit, right?
and it's a little funnier than
Especially
Breaking Bad.
sleazy lawyer shit.
Absolutely. Would you say it's funnier than Breaking Bad right off the bat, or on par? It's a little funnier, but they don't take
It's
away the drama.
it's definitely a little less on the heavy drama and a little bit more on the dark comedy. I think there's
Partially.
definitely something comedic in all the things that happened during Breaking Bad, and just it's a dark comedy in of itself. But as far as the one is much, they're both dramas and they're both have comedic elements. But I think Saul's is a lot more in touch with that aspect
Plus, it's
than Breaking Bad was. Right down to even like the Better Call Saul is the name of the show. The way they write it out on the way it's written out on the screen and
and the
the
way
credits and everything.
yeah, the way the intro sounds, you could argue that. And I mean, the biggest point is you're dealing with a lawyer that's learning how to function and learning how to
Right, he's
essentially.
like Lawyer Clouseau.
That's a good way of describing it. But with Walter White, you were dealing with a much more intense situation of a guy.
Right, he's dying of cancer. He wants to get his family to live. He's gonna make crystal meth and sell that. He's murdering people. He's blowing up nursing homes and shit. Like he's blowing up apartment buildings in the middle of downtown. Like it's pretty heavy shit. Not apartment buildings, but like that. Was it Tuco he blew up with the blue shit?
Yeah.
Someone, I forget.
And very good point. Speaking of which, from Chick Baby, I think Tuco might kill Nacho if Nacho keeps him out of the loop on this scheme. And a
Oh yeah,
lot.
that's what he definitely said that. He definitely said that, I think, and when he came to the office, he didn't say that, but he said, you know, I'm not telling anybody else about this, and you better keep your mouth shut. He was
And
there on his own. Tuco had no idea that he was at Saul's house, and yeah, Tuco would absolutely kill him.
I think we're having
But
some
he can talk
technical
himself.
difficulty.
He can talk himself out of it, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think the interesting thing to remember is a lot of people worry you know what's going to happen. I think any character that we don't see in Breaking Bad probably isn't going to have a happy ending here. And I think Nacho probably is on top of that list as someone that's probably not going.
So, yeah, seeing as how he's definitely not in he's a new character. That's good thinking. Uh,
Renwood asks, I definitely think Gus will make an appearance. I'm sorry if we're suffering a couple of connection difficulties. The internet is being a bastard right now, and the bastard son of Barney right now. Joe, you still with me?
I am.
Okay, cool. But Ren would ask, do we think if Gus will make an appearance? I'm pretty sure he is already not confirmed, but very bloody likely that Gus will be there. So
At least, at the very least, we know that the polo place, the local polo or whatever it is going to. We'll probably see advertisements for that on TV at some point crop up. I don't know when those restaurants start to open, but he eventually comes to town and opens a chain of restaurants, so we'll see that.
you got to figure that now that Saul and Mike are going to be on pretty good terms at this point. You got to guess we're going to see the introduction of Mike to Mike's got to be introduced to Gus, and obviously Saul's probably that person that bridges the relationship. So I'm sure at some point we might end up seeing that. I really do hope so. I think season 2 is when you're going to see a lot more of that, considering that they're already open for that season 2. They've already been renewed. So I could definitely see them bringing the more Breaking Bad people, do the Walter White cameo, the Jesse cameo, and any of those things towards the end of season 2 to make sure that they get a season.
Oh,
3.
hell yeah, Jesse cameo. He's a scumbag lawyer for like kids that don't have money and shit, and like that's perfect. Jesse will come through.
And it
Bitches.
made it seem like when he suggests Saul to Walt, it made it seem like he had probably had dealings with him in the past. It did seem like there was. He was like, no, you need a criminal lawyer, and
Pinkman kid.
I know just the guy. Didn't Mike work for Gus more than Saul? Exactly, Renwood. So we need to kind of see when they're introduced, and I'm assuming that Saul has something to do with that. So I'm guessing we're going to see there may be a big surprise where Gus shows up at the end of the season, but I doubt it. I'm guessing Gus is going to show up next season. The only official announcement that they've made is that Walt and Jesse will not be in season 1. That's a guarantee that neither of those two will be season 1.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, they said they did not say they'll never be there because both of them have agreed to do it, and I think.
Well, why wouldn't either one of them? Like, as much as a career as Cranston had before Breaking Bad, everything will pale a comparison post. Same thing with Pinkman. He had no career before that. You know.
Oh, come on! He was on a couple episodes of Beverly Hills 90210.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So he was on The Price is Right too.
He was on The Price is Right. Yeah.
So yeah, he had a career, and he won big too on The Price is Right, if I remember. Or then he didn't lose it all.
No, he won. Yeah, bitch, he was like really good. If you haven't seen that clip, please check
He
out.
was like Barney on
How I Met Your Mother. Yeah, it was pretty great. Has anyone ever told you guys look like Charles Manson and Jonathan Davis? No disrespect. We don't take that disrespect. We actually thought about renaming the show that. We thought.
Jonathan Davis and Charles Manson do TV.
Recap stuff. Yeah. We just I'm streaming from the prison.
He gets Rob Zombie and Jesus a lot too.
Yeah, Rob Zombie I get sometimes as well. So no, we do not take disrespect. Keep it coming. We get good sense of humor. As long as you don't tell us to go fuck our mothers or something like that. You know.
Oh, that's fine too. Just as long as you don't expect to see it.
Yeah, we're not gonna take pictures.
That's private.
That's called snuff films, and those are illegal.
I don't know what you consider doing, but.
Liquid Eagle, welcome to the room. What's the backstory? Why is Mike working this job? What's the benefit? I'm guessing...
Retirement? Hiding out?
No. I'd say, from what we've known before, he got into some trouble in Philadelphia for maybe being on the take, maybe thinking he was on the take, something he didn't really do. Who knows exactly what it is. He's there, hiding out, biding time. Maybe he got some sort of severance package to quit or something, and he's working.
Yeah, it's like a retirement. He's there retiring. He's in the nice weather instead of the cold shit. He's working a parking lot gig for minimum wage with his retirement checks coming in, staying busy.
Also near a courthouse, so he can somewhat feel like he's still in the business a little bit because he talks to lawyers and cops as they come in. That's probably why the cops know him, because they've seen him at the courthouse before. And he's probably nice and bullshits with the cops because he's got to talk their language. So it seems like he just kind of wants to be out of it, but still working an easy job. And it seems like that's the kind of position that would be perfect for him, wanting to be out of the situation. Or maybe he's working for someone at this point. I don't think so. I don't get that feeling from him. I get it has a lot more to do with the cops. When he was a police officer, something happening that he feels like he was done wrong. And that's led him to the point where he is now. You get a big feeling. Once he felt like he was helping cops out tonight, he's like, fuck this. I'd rather help Saul good. I'd rather help this Jimmy asshole out than help these fucking dickhead cops, is the vibe he was giving off. Chick Baby says maybe Saul knew who Gus was and what he really did when he told Walt. He knew a guy who knows a guy who hasn't been busted in 20 years. He probably couldn't reveal the identity or he would have been killed. I tend to agree with that, and that's why I think Gus is going to be towards the latter half of this show be a bigger part of the show. I think we're gonna get a lot more into learning more of Gus's backstory. It should be interesting.
Yeah. It's all, and that's one of the beautiful things about letting us know where the story ends up is I don't know. I'm just excited about all the history.
Again, speaking of Darth,
like the book that Game of Thrones just put out that you have there, like, yeah, the story itself is great, but now you want to know absolutely everything else there is to know about where these people all came from and their heritage and the land that they're from and all this shit.
absolutely. Why didn't George Lucas have someone else write the prequels? I mean, why didn't he have Vince Gilligan working on another?
Right?
It would have been much better. So this is a hilarious, funny scene. We're still stuck in this scene. Unable to sleep, Jimmy he does the whole roll of paper towels to get the middle part, and he goes to
the robot sex voice.
He uses his robot sex voice, and he tells them that they're in trouble. They can't hear them. It's a hilarious scene with a back and forth of them sitting in the room trying to understand him.
Well, he calls, like, he has to call 3 times. He hangs up the third time he finally gets through before they answer. Like, he doesn't want to leave a message. They'll get it in a day or two.
Robot sex voice. It's just so funny to call the robot sex voice. So finally they answer, and after a bunch of times trying with the robot sex voice.
He puts it on speakerphone so the wife can hear it, and they both have no clue. Call back from a better line. What are you doing? Oh, she's so annoying.
She was. And
did you get the feeling like it was her that did the embezzling of the money when they were in the diner in episode 1? The controlling bossy woman that is pushing all the buttons and got him to do this?
Maybe not. I just feel like I tend to agree, yeah, to answer your question, yeah.
Look at the tent, like at the end, we'll get to what happens in the tent.
She's the brains.
Back up my point.
Yeah, I get the feeling that she's the brains of the situation, or she was the person pushing him to do it when he had the opportunity to do it. We're like, if I'd come to you, Joe, I have the opportunity to steal $1 million from some yada yada yada. Should I do it? And she probably was like, yeah, hell yeah, Phil, you steal the $1 million. When someone asks you if you're a god, Ray, you say yes. And
yeah.
Take the fucking money. Take the fucking money.
I can't wait to see that movie.
Oh, the new Ghostbusters?
Yes, I can't. I can't wait to see. Good or bad, indifferent. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
I love Kristen Wiig, so
we'll definitely be doing a post-episode issues on
and
that.
Who are the other ones? Is Tina Fey in it?
I don't know, but I know Melissa McCarthy.
I love Melissa McCarthy too.
She was very funny on the Saturday Night Live 40th anniversary special, playing Chris Farley. She did a Chris Farley impression that was actually actually pretty good. I usually don't like her, but she.
Did she do like the Down by the River skit or something?
Yes, she did.
Oh no shit! No, wow.
Yes, actually did.
I can totally see it. Oh, I can totally see that. And living in a van down by the river. Did she fall through the table?
Yes, she did. So she absolutely fell through the table.
Bless her heart.
At the court, Jimmy tries to negotiate for his client in the men's room where the DA can't keep his client straight while he's taking a piss. And Jimmy wins his negotiation. This was a moment of Saul Goodman coming out. This was like Bruce Banner's trying to keep in the Hulk, and it just comes out at one point. Oh, you will give me beer now. He just totally pulls a Saul Goodman moment and corners this guy. And
you're in danger.
And gets what he wants. The nail lady's gonna tear him a new one when she sees all the paper towels. Yeah, she is.
Oh yeah, she is.
He's not even a thank you, Ren.
It's just one roll, and I'm sure he can find something to spill, clean up with that.
Dude, she wouldn't even let him get one cup of water. That's for customers. Poor fucking Jimmy. Poor slipping Jimmy.
I forgot about that. 2 cups of water for customers.
Only for customers. So he gets a call on the phone from Kim, who asks Jimmy what he meant about the Kettlemans last night, and he freaks out and realizes he needs to run. He needs to go quick, and Mike won't let him out of the parking lot because he doesn't have the right amount of money. Joe, he can't get out. He doesn't have the stickers. He doesn't have time to walk back in. The troll won't let him through. So he says, "Fine, I'll go back and get the stamps." He's like, no, you don't have to. You didn't have to go back and get the stamps. You should have known the rules before you came out here.
Yeah, Mike, no. It's. He says you're You're gonna make me go get the stamps. I'm not making you do anything.
Yeah.
That's what the rules are.
He's such a prick to him. He's such a fucking prick to him. Would you deal with the way Mike was talking if you were Saul in these moments? Would you have the same sort of interactions with Mike?
Here's my point. What the fuck is wrong with Saul that every time he goes through this gate he does not have the right amount of stamps? Just get the right amount of stamps. You know, if he thinks it's the lady at the gate messing with him, walk out and sit in your car for 2 minutes, and then go back in and be like, I need the right amount of stamps.
So Mike demands the $9. I agree, and especially if you're in a work situation when you know you have to deal with a person like this, you start to adjust your workday to have to deal with this. It makes sense in this situation. It doesn't make sense as much in the montage that he would have eventually just known to get the stamps. In this situation, because he ran out of there so quickly, I almost can give it a pass, but still, it's a little whatever. So they can't understand. So he eventually, Mike demands the $9, and Jimmy begs him to take $5, and he says it's a serious emergency. He promises to get him the stickers. Mike says, as Joe said, he's not making him do anything. He says those are the rules, and he says it real cocky and kind of stares at him. Jimmy reaches into the glass box, and he pushes the button to raise the arm, and he drives off yelling, "Screw you, geezer."
Yeah, geezer. You geezer.
And he knows he's going to be dealing with him again.
I know, and that's. I think he doesn't necessarily really think he's insulting him. It's almost, to me, it seems like it's a game to Saul. Like Saul has more fun playing this game than he does being annoyed by it because he never gets the right amount of stamps in the first place. Not only that, he knows he has to come back to the courthouse every day because that's where he works as a lawyer. He's got to go there, get his $700. You know, so he's going to see him tomorrow. He's going to see him later.
It was short-sighted by Saul, putting himself in that kind of position, because he knew he was going to bump into him again. And when he showed back up later, as we'll get to...
He should have had the money with him. He knew he was going back there. Get the money.
Hand it to him before you go any further.
Because he could have you arrested for, not for poking him in the chest even, but for jumping the stile, for stealing the money, the $9.
Big Kev says, I'm watching you guys, and I put Gotham on record. You guys rock. Better Call Saul has a chance to be a really great show. When do you guys think he's going to change his name? First of all, I watched Gotham tonight. Interesting episode. You're definitely going to enjoy that.
I love the kid from Shameless. I thought he did a great job as young Joker.
Don't talk about too much because he hasn't seen the episode, so we don't want to spoil anything. But it was. I think it's obvious, and they've made a very obvious case that the Joker was on tonight's episode.
Yeah, in all the previews.
He did a decent job, and it's our first live-action Joker since Heath Ledger, and it was interesting to see. Anyways, we continue. What was it? What was his question again? When do I think he's going to change his name? I think at the end of this season. I don't know why I've said that before. I think
because that's the tagline of the show is Better Call Saul. So he's got to become Saul by the end of this season, and I think the 1,000,000.6 is what's going to help him get there.
Yeah, absolutely. To me,
that's going to get him out of the barber, out of the nail salon, into his own place with his own sign. He can't put that name up on the sign because it's the name of that other firm, and he doesn't want to get them confused. It's his brother's name, not his name.
Absolutely. So. And I agree. I think if it wasn't going to happen at the end of the first episode, it's going to happen at the end of the first season, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. He's not Saul yet.
He's not Saul yet. But
he's not Saul till that commercial comes out. Till he.
It's like Nacho said when he realizes he's in it.
Yeah, when he realizes he's in the game.
100%, Katie. When he realizes he's in the game, she's absolutely right. Liquid Eagle says, "Is this the same salon from Breaking Bad? Also, is he strapped for cash that bad that he has to live in the back of a salon? $700 per case is not bad for 2002. But he's also taking care of Chuck." And so he's trying to take care of two people right now. So that's why he's been there. I think Chuck let him off the hook last week. So maybe that could change for him in the future. But at least for a while, he was paying Chuck's bills as well. Chick Baby says, I wonder when Mike is going to start investigating for Saul. He said Mike was his PI. Oh, okay, Breaking Bad. I missed that. I forgot about that. So we know that somehow he's going to think of Mike to probably investigate this company somehow when he realizes in the next couple of episodes that Mike is a real diamond in the rough in this situation and could really help him out as being on his side, not just as a PI but a bodyguard in some cases as well.
Yeah, I'll pay you a little bit of cash. You helped me out. You had a great theory. You helped me put that together.
Yep.
You know, so
He 100% did too.
And he kicks ass.
And he kicks ass. And he kicks ass. He's just
the next cop from a tough city.
He's doing like a keto though on him. Like he just like pushes him with like one finger and like.
Oh, dude, that shit hurts. That feels like the way the move he had him. It feels like that person is gonna put their thumb through the back of your hand and rip your entire hand off your arm and then your elbow off. It's not a pleasant feeling, that move.
And
it's really easy. Anybody can kind of do it with a little bit of practice.
And remember that he's trying to get $17 million for his brother. Yeah, that's a big agenda on his mind right now. Saul Goodman. He's trying to get that big chunk of money just so, and that's a big part of the way he's living, the way he was living. So he calls him "screw you, old geezer," and then he pulls up in front of the Kettleman's house and he sees the crime tape as he gets out of the car. And Hamlin, our bad guy, Darth Vader, walks over to him and asks him why he's there. He says he was listening on the police scanner, trolling for clients. And Hamlin says there's no business for him here, that a family's missing, and the door was open, someone saw someone stalking them, and the house is a mess, ransacked. Jimmy walks over to his girl, Kim, and she asks why he came here. He says that he's supporting her in her time of need. Such bullshit. He says he was reading the tea leaves, same way he was doing it before, and that he approached them and suggests that they get a lawyer. That when he approached the Kettleman. Kim says that the two kids are missing too, and asks if he would tell her if he knew something. He says he doesn't really know, and he asks her to tell, if there's anything he can do. To tell me if there's anything I can do. She asks him to leave, so she doesn't have to explain why she's even fucking talking to Hamlin. So Jimmy drives away, telling himself that it's going to be fine. I thought this was a hilarious scene, too, with him in the car, just being, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine.
I want to know what set of self-help tapes this guy had listened to.
Yeah, you're good enough. You're strong enough. And God damn it, people love you. He's got the Stuart Smalley school.
You got the 40th anniversary on your mind, my man.
Raymond, welcome. How do you guys like the show? How do you like the show? Is it everything you thought it would be? It's more than I thought it would be because I feared the worst about it. I must admit I was one of the few people that I was cautiously optimistic about it, and I
thought they were going to go too slapsticky. I didn't think it was going to be as put together quite as cinematically as it is with the light and the filming and like I said, it's a little bit. I thought it was going to be more slapsticky. I'm extremely impressed with what I've seen in the first 3 episodes, and I'm really excited to watch more.
Absolutely. And so to answer your question, yeah, it is everything I thought it would be, and more, because I didn't know what exactly to expect, and I agree. I'm so glad that they didn't go the comedy route that was initially the first idea. Like, initially, our plan was for it to be a 30-minute comedy.
Oh, that would have been awful as a 30-minute sitcom.
Yeah, he originally, before Vince Gilligan came on full time, it was supposed to just be a 30-minute comedy show about Saul Goodman's law practice type stuff, week-to-week clients. And I think we're over the fact that this show is going to be anything week-to-week. It's a long-arching story arc. It's not a story week-to-week kind of thing, and we're not going to get that at all. It doesn't look like, which is really fucking awesome. So he says he didn't really know. She asked him to leave so she doesn't have to explain. Jimmy drives away, telling himself it's going to be fine. And this gets to our funniest part of the episode. He pulls up at a payphone and he calls Nacho, but he leaves him a voicemail. He says, this is the party you spoke to the other day, and he wants to help him legally de-escalate the situation. He gives him the payphone number to call back soon. Remember the days when you could have someone call you back on a payphone? Amazing. Jimmy paces and he waits. Then he calls him again. He calls him again. He just keeps
I don't know if you understood what I said when I said what I said, but I didn't know if I said it right, so I'm going to say it again in even more of a cryptic tone with different types of things that I'm going to say about the same things that I said the first time.
There's no rats on this.
Yeah, there's no rats on this boat.
It reminded me of myself repeat calling an ex-girlfriend that I wanted to keep talking to. Like, so, hello, guess what today? Today, guess what? What are you doing today? It was just so bad. It was just like the most horrible breakup in the world. It was great.
Yeah.
Oh, Raymond says this show's amazing, who asked the question how we're liking it, and says, from Albuquerque. You are lucky. You are from a really, really beautiful place that's not filled with piles and towers of snow. Not to mention Breaking Bad and now Better Call Saul. I can't think of a show or a movie that's taken a place and really show it at such an amazing way that both these shows have showed the skylines and just added so much.
And the crack houses and the drug problems and the gang problems and the violence and the
Meth, not crack, Joe. Get it right.
Sorry.
Get it right. God damn it. Chick Baby says, if you think about it, everyone that Walt came across meets their down. Yeah, we're gonna be connected to all that. We're gonna see everybody that Walt meets, because most of the people Walt meets from the dark side is a connection through Saul. Mike, Gus, Hank, Tuco, Crazy 8, Emilio, and Saul. We might, in fact, see all of those guys. And everybody, we'd like to thank everyone that's checking out the Better Call Saul recap right now. We have a lot of you guys in the chat room live with us, and really appreciate all your comments and you guys all checking this out tonight.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much.
After this awesome episode of Better Call Saul. And, yes, you can, if you have any questions or any comments, please throw them in the chat room, or you can throw them in the comment section. I can get to them. Or if you want to tweet me at IGetIssuesMan, you can do that as well. So
yeah, I started thinking that too, Ren. You say that you thought that phone was bugged because he's sitting there for a while, and then he goes to leave, and his car won't start. Battery's dead, piece of shit clunker that's only worth $200, $500 if there's a $300 dead hooker in the trunk, you know.
Time is of the essence. He hangs up first, and then he gives the number back again, and then he goes and sits in the car after he leaves that real cryptic time is of the essence message.
Well,
right?
no, he's sitting on the curb, but the phone finally rings, and it rings back, and it's just it's no one. No one answers the phone. No, he answers the phone, but nobody says anything back, and he says Nacho, and then there's nothing.
Yep.
And then the phone hangs up.
He gets he gets into a car, tries to start it, but it doesn't turn over. He gets the Marty McFly treatment, and he doesn't bang his head against the dashboard to start the car. We all know that's the way to do it, and he doesn't do it.
Smart. He's smart because he knows, get the fuck out of there right now, because that was really weird. You know, and the first thing that I started thinking was, I know this is a little bit later too, but I remember back in the day when a bunch of us had pagers for certain things. And because of that, we knew what payphones were what phone numbers and where they were located in like a 4 or 5 mile radius. We knew like 10 or 12 different payphone numbers, and where we were going to have to go to meet someone, you know. So
absolutely, it's another thing, just not to have a whole back in our day type moment of remembering the way things used to be. I remember when you used to have to remember phone numbers too. You'd have to you'd call somebody, you'd have to call a friend to call a friend to call another friend to ask them what the phone number is. Do you remember XYZ's pager number? Because I forget it, but I can't remember it. Oh, I don't know it, but I think Bob knows it, or I think Devin might know it. I think Nick might know it. So you call Devin, you call Nick, and you have to do the call around just to get someone's pager number to get a hold of Susan, because you want to ask her out to hang out or something like that. It was just a big fucking process. It was pretty funny. It built character, Joe.
I had to walk three different ways in the snow uphill barefoot to ask that chick out. You're worried about making phone calls?
Raymond asks, where do you guys think the show might go in? You may go on to, where do we think it? Where it will stop before it picks up for the Breaking Bad. I doubt it's going to take it right up to the period of Breaking Bad. I assume it's going to take us. I don't know when it's going to stop, if that's the question you're asking. It'll be very interesting to see will Vince Gilligan get the full run to do the vision he wants to do with this show as like he did with Breaking Bad, or will the show get canceled at some point in time?
I think the show can rightfully stop. Like, basically, they can bring it right up to the moment Walter White walks through the door.
And they meet each other. That would be very interesting if it stopped right there. That'd be
Now, if they want to try to edit in scenes or from Breaking Bad, the original, into the Better Call Saul series, they might even be able to stretch it in throughout the same time period so we can watch what Saul has to do to get ready to go on the run.
right. Seeing more of his perspective. I mean, I assume we're going to go back to Cinnabon Saul at some point in the series. That it can't be the only time we see Cinnabon Saul. And we will. We have so many Sauls and
You
Jimmys.
had to say it twice for it to really sink in how beautiful that sounds.
Perfect. I mean, that's future Saul. Is Cinnabon.
Slippin' Jimmy, Cinnabon Saul, Better Call Saul,
Better Call Saul.
and James McCall.
Jimmy McGill. Little Jimmy
Gil.
McGill. James McCall. That would have been too perfect. So he tries to start the car and it doesn't turn over, and he gets out and he jogs behind a building as two guys kind of converge and take chase. As you get a real sense of danger in this point. But
some strange danger.
But they end up being cops, and they cuff him, and they say that he says they're making a mistake. He's a lawyer. They check his wallet, and they say he is the lawyer, and they take him to the jail to see Nacho.
Oh, Saul's like, whose lawyer? I'm not anybody's lawyer. What are you talking about? Like, that's what he's thinking. Whose lawyer, huh?
I'm a district attorney. I'm a district attorney. Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
A defense attorney.
Defense attorney, yeah. Sorry. And it was just a funny moment. And
it was, and they never identified themselves. When they started running him down, they should have immediately started yelling, "Police, freeze," or something, you know? Like, they scared the shit out of him. And he saw that setup right away. He saw one coming from the front, and he saw one in his rearview mirror coming down the street also. He's like, gets out of the car, he's like, okay, everything's okay. Just walking like I'm normal. And then he breaks up the alleyway. Starts chugging away.
And that's the main thing about one of the other things about our protagonists compared to Breaking Bad. Walter was figuring it out as he goes, as he went down the dark side. Jimmy has already been to the dark side, performed once, and now he's going back to the dark side. So it's rediscovering who he really is.
He's like on the fence to the dark side, trying to, like, it's weird because he's not in the dark. I don't see him in the dark side yet. I don't see, like, he tried to run that scam on the couple that he thought stole 1.6 million that ended up being Tuco's grandmother accidentally. But I don't really see him as going to the dark side at all right now. At all.
Yeah. I think it's haunting him though.
Of course, dude. The easy money, the easy cash, that haunts everybody.
Renwood asks, so how did the cops know Saul was there? I'm guessing that the phone was tapped. Could the phone act? No, it wasn't.
No. He knew he was there. This is how, because he takes Saul to jail, and we see that Nacho is in jail.
Oh, and they have his phone, and they
have his cell phone, and they see that someone keeps blowing it up. Now they can't answer it, but the thing's sitting there ringing in front of them, and the number's coming up. So they say, let's find out who this number is. They say, oh, it's a payphone on 48th Street or whatever street they're on, Albuquerque Drive. And then they go, and they call it right before they're about to go in to make sure that the person that they're looking for is still there, ready to answer the phone. And they know that it is because he picks up the phone. He's like, hello, 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 hello. And Nacho. As soon as he finally says Nacho, they hang up the phone.
Yeah, they have what they need right there. So they bring him to Nacho and to see him, and the cops say that Nacho asked for him. Jimmy goes in nervously, but I have to say Saul handled this he was nervous, but he was calm enough to handle his business in the situation with Nacho. And
he goes straight in. He's like, I want to make all parties happy, but especially you. So let's go for 18 years in jail. How's that sound?
Jimmy says that he's going to pitch it back to him. He says, a neighbor saw a suspicious van outside the Kettlemans 2 nights in a row, and he called the cops and gave them the plates, which led them to Nacho. He says the cops found blood on the floor, and they said that they're calling the FBI. He tells them if he tells them where the family is and shows remorse, he can get him a good deal, as Joe said, 18 years or something. Nacho just glares at him like, what the fuck? Really? Literally shut the fuck up right now. And Jimmy asks if his family's okay, and Nacho just sits there looking at him. It's hilarious. And Jimmy asks him to weigh in. So Nacho calls him a miserable piece of shit. He says, you set me up. You gave this score to another crew. Because he keeps just seeing the scoundrel within him. He cannot see anything. He's the opposite of you, Joe. He can't see any good in Saul. All he sees is this guy. He's like,
well, that's also where this guy's coming from in life. This guy only sees what the scam is he can run and what the scam is being run on him. And from his point of view, he says, you know, you not only gave my score away to another fucking crew because the family got kidnapped, he's saying, but you're setting me up to take the fall because I'm the one sitting here in jail. This isn't right. You got to make this right. I didn't do this. He's like, but your van was there. The cops say your van was there. He says, yeah, I 2 nights in a row, you know, get to know their habits, get to know their plans, see what's going on. But no, I didn't do anything. They were there, safe and sound when I left.
Yeah, he says, what about the blood in the van? He said, it's from those two skater idiot twins that you had in my back seat bleeding. But
and whatever piss and shit your scared ass fucking left back there, too.
And Jimmy says he doesn't understand. Nacho says he told him his plan to just one person, and now he's in fucking jail. So come on, Jimmy.
Yeah, figure it out. And the longer I sit here, the longer the cops look into my background, and the more they dig into my past, they're going to dig into my associates. And if they start looking at my partners, they're going to be mad at me, and that means you're going to die. So you better get me out of here by sunrise.
He's basically giving him if they find out about me, Tuco's going to kill me, and guess what? He's going to kill you too, just because I'm not going out alone, motherfucker. Eat rocks. You know, it's a big fuck you. Like if I'm going down, I'm going to make sure you die too, good buddy.
Right, you're right about that, Renwood. A liar doesn't believe anybody else. They think they're being lied to all the time as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, and especially
to a paranoid level too.
So he tells Jimmy to get him out of jail today, or he'll pay. And Kim, his girl, is waiting outside. Jimmy comes out and he says hi to her. Kim says she didn't know he was representing the lead suspect, and Jimmy says that the cop he knows
I didn't either.
Kim said for a minute, and they walk away. Kim says that the family's in real danger and that he doesn't have to stand behind client privilege. Tell me where the family is. He says his guy didn't do it. Jimmy says tell the cops to test the blood in the van, and they can tell it's not the Kettlemans. And they ask they ask who it is, whose blood is it, and Jimmy's like, I can't tell you whose blood it is, but just trust me, it's not the Kettlemans. They say it could take weeks to do that, and Jimmy screams. He says, not it, and puts his face up to the window like, Nacho is innocent.
Yeah, he wants Nacho to know that he's out there yelling and screaming at the cops for his client's innocence, that he's going to do everything he can to make Nacho believe that he's going to work his hardest for him. Please don't kill me.
And again, we like to keep track of these. If it was a drinking game, we see the Saul Goodman moments. This was a very big Saul Goodman moment. Where he's just like he's starting to, the disguise is happening. He's starting to turn, and he says he asks to see the crime scene, and they say that they must be missing something. Kim says it's a good idea because she wants to put him on a guilt trip, and they invite him to the house where she brings him up to like the kids' room and shows, well, this is where the kids are from, and we see the ransacked house. Jimmy looks around and he looks for something and asks what the cops missed, and he goes around, pokes around the bedrooms, goes into the son's room, goes into the daughter's room, and he tells Kim to her side, Nacho didn't do this. I know Nacho didn't do this. The cops say that they know he was outside the house the night before, and Jimmy looks around and asks, where's the little girl's doll? And he says that there's a bunch of doll gear, but no doll. In all the pictures, the girl had the little doll. And then he goes on this like bullshit rant that ends up like being prophetic, and he figures out what's going on. But it's really just a bullshit rant of him grasping at straws. It's amazing that it's George Costanza, like it's that good of a lie, bullshit. Larry David making shit up crap, and he's able to pull this out and get away with this. It's so amazing, and Bob Odenkirk.
No, but it also makes sense too. Like, I'm looking at the house, and as he's walking from room to room, I'm like, the things that they chose to ransack and the things that aren't ransacked seemed very strange to me. Why would you ransack one cabinet but leave the next cabinet right next to it completely unmolested? That's not someone looking for anything or looking for the jewels or the money. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I agree with you, but I don't think Saul was really thinking clearly. I think it was like something he was grasping out of bullshit of the things that were around and ended up being.
No, I think he was thinking clearly too, because I think that's what, like he was saying to her on the phone. I was just kind of putting things together, and of course they would be in danger. Someone's going to come and try to endanger them. And like Mike says at the end, like, yeah, it makes complete frickin' sense. If you had stolen $1.6 million, what would you do? You would kidnap yourself before someone else does. Like.
But I guess my question is, did Jimmy really believe it until he talked to Mike? Did Mike push him over the edge to make him believe that, oh my God, they really did do that? But before that, I think he kind of just thought he didn't believe his own bullshit, and then eventually he's like, oh my God.
No, but I think he believed his client.
Right.
I think he believed that his client told him with the same fervor that you're a dead man as he did, I didn't do this.
I agree with that too. I just don't think he thought his they staged it was completely 100. I think he was, because of the reasons you pointed out, he like felt it. It was like there was smoke but not enough fire, till Mike just kind of pointed him in the right direction of being like, listen, dude, you know what you're talking about here. This makes a lot of sense that they would do something like this. And it usually is the case that when someone commits a big crime or something, they don't run as far as you think that they're going to run. They tend to stay in the air. They also want to hear. They want to know that people are after them, and they want to know that they're getting the better of the people.
Just like, yeah, serial killers, they kill close to home and stuff, or that was always the thought.
So he looking around. He says Nacho didn't do it. The cop says that someone was outside the house. He looks around, figures out the whole thing about the dolls, and he says that if the little girl brought the doll, she probably wasn't dragged out of the house. He says that they staged it so that they would look kidnapped. Jimmy says that they need to get the word out that they're likely already in Mexico. One of the cops said that their cars are here and that they didn't take a cab. They said that the bad guys must have let her take the doll to keep her quiet, that they see this thing all the time down at the station. He takes Kim outside to talk in private, and he says he called the Kettlemans and tells her about what he did, and this is where we get our you didn't use robot sex voice, did you? And yeah, he used robot sex voice. He says that he broke client privilege with Nacho, and he's going to tell her what happened. He says that the unintended consequences, and he said that he had to find out it was them, and Nacho and the cops have to let Nacho go, otherwise he's in big trouble. He said that Nacho didn't kidnap them, but he is a bad guy, and if the cops find out something bad about him, he'll turn him into, I quote, a meat piñata. He says he needs to convince the cops to catch the Kettlemans on the run. He says that they're not masterminds and they will be caught. He asks Kim to tell the cops and the FBI to look for them as flight, not for kidnapping. And Jimmy says Hamlin could convince the FBI and get on their side, but she says that Darth Vader will never agree to help Jimmy, since they're clients and they have to keep the privilege. It's okay for Jimmy to break his privilege, but not okay for the head of that company. So, excuse me. Jimmy walks off and he says he's going to try and try to get Nacho to see some reason. So he pulls up to the parking lot and he pushes the button for the ticket to get in, but the ticket doesn't work. It doesn't come out. He tells Mike that he was a jerk and he'll pay him everything, but as Joe mentioned earlier, he doesn't actually have the money right there. He just says, I will pay you. I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. He doesn't actually give him the money. He's still kind of cocky and a dick about it.
Yeah, he's being a wicked dick about it. No, Mike's not going to do anything for him at this point. There's no reasoning with Mike. And that's why it's just a game to solve, because he made no attempt to go get the $9 or whatever. I mean, maybe he doesn't have it.
But he probably doesn't have it at this point. So Mike tells him to go find a park somewhere else, and Jimmy says, "No, I'm going to park right here. I'm going to park right here in this spot." And Jimmy gets out of his car because another car comes behind her and starts beeping at him. And 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 Jimmy goes and kind of pushes Mike, pokes him in the chest or something like
Mike
that.
comes out of the booth and says, "You don't want to do that," and he like kind of hikes up his pants and he gets ready for it. And Saul comes right over and pokes him right in the chest. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah. And he just grabs him and twists him and pounds him in like the cop grip and pushes him face down into the ground. And
Ow, 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 ow.
Nacho Man is and Mike says Jimmy gets out of his car and the cops are at the station with Jimmy there. We're at the station with Jimmy and the cops and Mike, and they're trying to get Mike to press charges on Jimmy for the assault. And at first he's going to do it, but one of the cops kind of like touches him or something, gives him like the "thanks for the help there, buddy." And at the last minute, Mike changes his mind and won't press charges. The cops ask what he's doing, and Mike says, and one says, "Mike, are you pussying out? You thought you were one of the good guys." And Mike just kind of looks at him with the cocky Mike thing and says, I guess so, and walks off. Jimmy yells at them, and we get a Cagney and Lacey reference, refers to them as Cagney and Lacey. I like that. Not a lot of people will know what they're talking about, but Cagney and Lacey was the show I watched.
Even for that time period, that's only like 2006 or something like that.
It's still a pretty crazy reference for that period.
2004 or something.
Yeah. Jimmy says he'll take an edible arrangement, but edible arrangements were already out at that point.
Yeah, as an apology. Heavy on the pineapple.
Yeah.
Maybe they are around at that point out west. Just not up here in the Northeast.
Yeah, not quite. Cry like a baby. Oh, Red Redford says cry like a baby. Yeah, you did kind of cry like a baby at that point. So Jimmy chases Mike down and asks him why he let him off the hook. He says he knows Mike has no reason to help him out, or has no heart, and then he says he knows why he did it because he believed in what he said. And Mike caves and says, yes, he did believe in Jimmy. Jimmy's thrilled that someone actually does believe him. And Mike says he thinks that they traveled. Mike says he didn't think they even left the neighborhood. He talks about a case when he was a cop back in Philadelphia that he took a bookie that skipped town with $6 million, and everyone thought he was on a beach somewhere, but he was 2 houses down in an abandoned house squatting. Mike says it's human nature to stay close to home.
And he was there for 6 months.
6 months. And this is just classic Mike, and awesome to get some backstory on him and talking about one of his cases in Philadelphia, and really cool just to see him break this down and at some point obviously make a decision that Saul is the lesser of the two evils here. That I really don't want to side with these cops. These cops.
Well, he could see that these cops are dicks, and Saul's story made sense when he heard it laid out in front of him to the two cops. It made complete sense, and because of what he's saying now, he tells him basically, yeah, and if the Kettlemans found a way to stay close to home and do this, then that's exactly what they did. You're absolutely right. That's why there's no taxis and their cars are still there and there's no services that came and got them. That's why they're in the neighborhood. They're somewhere around there. And that's what I was thinking. They have like a fake room built in the basement, like a safe room or something.
That's what I thought initially too, as well. That they must have had one of those dual-sided rooms that they were hiding. But these people, it becomes clear, and it is clear even at this point that these people aren't that clever. They're not clever enough to have a room like that. It would be far more simple, and it ends up being that case. As this conversation, Jimmy starts to realize that, oh my God, I'm right, and this guy is absolutely 100% right. As Mike says, it's human nature to stay close to home. He says no one wants to leave home. Jimmy thinks about this, and then he heads back to the Kettlemans. He looks around the neighborhood, and then he sees a tent beside a stick after walking around for a while. Like, it goes from, like, nighttime to...
Well, no. When he first goes back to the neighborhood, he's standing in front of the Kettleman's house, and he sees on the back of the Kettleman's car one of those like family
Oh,
stick
I missed
figure
that.
things, and there's a tent at the end of it, and all the stick figures have backpacks on. So he's like, "Oh, they're into camping," and he's like, and he kind of looks around past the houses. It's a cul-de-sac, and he sees that it's all desert and hills, and so he walks out into the backyard and he looks across the pool and he sees that their yard is fenced in, walled in, but there's a gate in the back corner with a well-traveled path to it, worn through in the dirt. So he decides to go out for a little walk, and he starts walking through the desert, and he's walking for what appears to be a couple hours because daytime turns to night, and he's got his jacket off, and he's just like, oh, his feet are dragging at this point. And I was wondering, does he even know where the fuck he is and how to get back?
He's
But then I
searching,
figure it might be as easy as he just stayed on the path.
or he's searching for someone's buried money out there. He's got a compass, and he's looking for buried money out
He's
there.
got Jack Sparrow's compass.
Yeah, Jack Sparrow's magic compass. So eventually he does find them. He opens up the tent.
And they're singing songs. They're singing
Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt, that's my name too. But they're not singing that. What's the first? They're singing the first song. What is it? I actually wrote it down.
Bingo.
Yeah, Bingo was his name.
And so while they're singing, I think he calls the lawyer lady. I found your clients. And he listen to this, and he holds up the phone.
Yep, and plays. And then another part, my second funniest part of the episode, he busts in the tent. Here's Johnny. With the smile. Yeah, perfect. So awesome.
The kids freak out. The mother jumps. They all jump back and grab each other. Ah!
I love it.
And then he's like, "Sorry, kid. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. My name's Uncle Jimmy. I'm here to take you back to your house." And the little boy's like, "Finally." Did the parents really think this was going to work without electricity, without TV, without video games for those two kids?
Oh, they're dumbasses. These two people are idiots. So Jimmy starts to gather their stuff and go, like, "You're coming with me. You're coming with me. You guys are getting the hell out of here." And he picks up the big bag that seemingly has like all their clothes in it or something, and he starts to drag it away. But the wife doesn't seem very happy about it.
And this is where I go back to my point about the wife being the mastermind behind all this. She immediately jumps on that bag and starts pulling back on it. Two hands. No, no, no. And Saul's pulling back. Yes, yes, yes. And then the husband's kind of just like sitting there for a second or so, and then realizes that that's the bag of money she's pulling on. Like he's so clueless. He doesn't care about the like. It was not his idea to take the money because he doesn't even know where it is in this tent. He doesn't even realize that that's the bag of money she's pulling on. Saul's about to just walk out of the tent with it. He's not even focused on it at all. This is all her plan.
If I steal $1 million or however much it is, I'm going to know where it is at every single time, every single moment.
Exactly. So that's why I feel like it wasn't him that stole it. That's not what his focus is. His focus was not losing his wife and his family, and it was her who was saying, "I'm taking this. We're taking this money, or I'm out of here," or something.
Absolutely.
Something along those lines.
So we get into a little tug of war over the bag, and eventually the bag just splits in two with both sides pulling, and the money just explodes out. And the money.
I think Saul's yelling like, "Why not?" at this point when she's yelling, "No, I'm not. We're not going back." And Saul's like, "Why not?" And then poof. Oh,
I see. And then the episode ends. Oh, great episode. Great way to end it. They definitely know how to hit you with these cliffhanger ending type things. The second big one, the first one being the Tuco thing in episode 1. And this being the second big one that they've had me like, oh, I just can't wait to see that. I'm like, I literally yelled out, "No!" when this episode ended. I was like, "No! Oh!" And I got that feeling. Very amazing episode. This is, I'm not ranking the episodes, but I've liked everyone. I'm so invested in this story and need to know where this goes now. They've got me. Oh, yeah, I want to know. I'm in. I'm all in.
Yeah, me too. Great first 3 episodes. It's got me hooked. I'm gonna finish. This would have to do some really serious shark jumping to screw up at this point, especially in season 1.
I think they're just because you would figure that with a show like this, if it's just gonna keep getting better, if it was going to be bad, it would have been bad from go. You would have just felt it. You would have felt that it was wrong, and it just doesn't. There's nothing that feels wrong about this. This is like having some dirty sex that everyone tells you is wrong, but when you actually do it, it feels so good that you're like, ugh, this just works. We just work together. We can't, and us and Better Call Saul work together. Let's hit up a couple more questions before we go. Liquid Eagle, am I the only one that got startled when Nacho G checked Jimmy in the interrogation room? Mind you, I'm watching from my computer screen. Yeah, I got very scared in that whole exchange, and especially the lighting and the tone in that. You just get a feeling like Nacho could do anything to Jimmy at any point in time you want, even though we know what happens to Saul, and that's a credit to what the show's able to do. We know that Saul's okay and that nothing real dangerous happens to him.
But we're still worried that Nacho's going to have him killed right now.
Yeah, I still feel the stakes. And that is a compliment to what the show's doing.
And I think that's a great part of the storytelling for sure, and what they've in the setup. But I think that also goes to show just how good Odenkirk is portraying his 100%. Fear for life.
100%, dude. And I don't even know exactly what we're talking, but this is a great comment by Ren Renwood. Literally breaking bag. Breaking bad.
The bag ripped and the money spilled out.
The money's literally breaking bag or breaking bad. So everybody, I guess this is a good place to take a break. To end this evening, take a break in our recapping till next time. We will be back later this week. I don't know exactly when. I got some catch up to do Game of Thrones episodes.
I've already watched my episode.
Yeah, I have to catch up.
Ready to go when you are.
I'm behind right now. It's The King's Road, which it's really fun homework to have to do. And we will also be back sometime in the early part of the week, at the end of the week, Saturday or Friday, to do a little Vikings that's coming up soon too. Ragnar Lothbrok, so I can mispronounce some Viking characters' names. Oh. Yes, I'm so excited to mispronounce some names. Oh yeah.
Oh.
I just got Ragnar though, which is an important one. I did. That's a very important one.
And you know the mountain's real name? I think he's like a descendant of Ragnar. It's Halfthor Lothbrok or some shit.
Half cousin of he's descendant from the gods. And Rollo, that's his brother, right? Rollo?
Yeah, Rollo's his brother. Floki's his man.
And Floki, but then they have the two names that's weird. Floki instead of Loki, and instead of Agatha, his girl's name is Flagatha, whatever it's.
Lagatha, with an L.
Yeah, come on, just call her Agatha. What the hell's that?
I know, right? And Loki. We got to put the F so it's not, because he's already kind of acts like Loki.
Yeah, that's some screwy George R. Martin stuff where it's like we can't call him Bruce Bolton, we have to call him Roose Bolton. Okay, George.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I love you, George. I'd give you a hug if you'd let me sit on your lap. Anyways, folks, thank you so much. We will try to stay warm, Renwood. It is fucking freezing here.
Yeah.
We really appreciate all the people that have been with us live tonight. You guys are really awesome, and as we mention all the time, it makes it more fun watching with all of you guys. So if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button if it's your first time with us. You can check out all of our stuff at issuesprogram.com for all the updates and all the stuff gets posted on there after the fact. Also, you can email me at igotissuesman@gmail.com, or I kind of combine two things, Twitter at igotissuesman, and then my email igotissuesman@gmail.com. You can tweet at Joe or follow him at Dirty Locks, and you can check out his website of comics and more collectibles. It is G4. What is it?
G4 Comics, etc. They're still putting more stuff up daily, everybody. Come back and check us out, see what you like.
Liquid Eagle, thank you so much for the subscription tonight. Everyone really counts to us, and join in the comment section, and welcome to our family of recaps and talking about episodes. Every single person we can get in here talking, one more person to add to the group, and it makes it all the more fun and the bigger we get, the more we can destroy shit together. It's awesome. So everyone, we'll be back later this week. Have a good night. Talk to you soon.